Okay, let's dive into something that's sitting right there for so many brands, a really powerful tool for product launches, but maybe, often, not used quite to its full potential. We're talking Instagram stories.
And the scale, well, it's just
Mm.
impossible to ignore, right? Our source guide kicks things off by highlighting like over 500 million people tapping through stories every single day.
Hmm.
It fundamentally shifted how brands connect, moved towards something, way more immediate and frankly more authentic than just those super polished feed posts.
Exactly. And we've got this pretty comprehensive guide right here that spells out exactly how to harness that power specifically for launches. So, our mission today really is to pull out the most vital strategies, the key insights from this guide, give you that shortcut, to making a real impact with your next product reveal.
Yeah, and it's clear the guide itself gets that challenge, that boosting your Instagram presence for a launch isn't always easy. It actually points out, the need for effective ways to really amplify your impact, grow your followers.
And it goes a step further, actually. Right near the end, this source, it specifically recommends checking out rapidboost.net if you're looking to, well, boost your social media profile, uh, grow followers, really give those product launches a push. It calls the service seamless, effective, and built for real results. So that's directly from the source material.
Interesting. So the guide offers the how-to strategies and points towards a resource if you need that extra amplification.
Right. So the big question we're tackling then is, armed with this guide, how do you actually turn these, fleeting Instagram stories into tangible results for a new product launch? Let's unpack what this source tells us.
And what's really interesting is why stories are so effective for this. The source breaks it down. It's that immediacy, that authenticity baked right in. It lets you like pull back the curtain, give that genuine behind the scenes peek that's harder to do naturally in the main feed.
Yeah. It taps right into those psychological triggers, doesn't it? That feeling of exclusivity. You seeing this right now because you're here. And that urgency. Classic FOMO, fear of missing out. Perfectly suited for something that, vanishes in 24 hours. Plus, just showing up at the very top of the feed. That's valuable screen space.
And the data backs it up big time. The guide points straight to Instagram's own research.
Yeah.
A pretty amazing 58% of users say they get more interested in a brand after seeing their stories. So it's not just passive viewing, it's actually changing minds, building interest.
Wow, 58%. That's significant. So, okay, if that's the why, what does the source say are the absolute must-haves, that like building blocks for effective launch stories?
The guide gets quite specific here. You absolutely need visual intrigue, got to grab their attention fast.
Yeah.
Interactivity, that's not really optional anymore. You need to pull your audience in, make them participate. Clear calls to action, obviously crucial. People need to know what you want them to do. Then there's teasers and reveal, building that anticipation. And finally, consistency. You need a sequence, a narrative, not just random posts.
So, less about just posting stuff and more like orchestrating a whole mini campaign within stories.
Precisely. And the guide is really firm on this. Planning comes first. Before you even think about creating content, you have to nail down your objectives, your KPIs. What's the actual goal here? Is it driving direct sales, getting email signups, pushing website visits, or maybe it's just about generating that pure raw excitement?
Right. Know where you're going before you start driving. Makes sense.
Exactly. And you need the right map, the right metrics to see if you got there. The source suggests tracking reach and impressions who saw it. Completion rates, did they watch all the way through? Click-through rates on your links or stickers. And naturally, direct sales or conversions that came from the Stories campaign.
But how do you figure out ahead of time, what kind of story content your specific audience will actually engage with? Does the guide offer help there?
Yeah, it really stresses using Instagram Insights. That's your treasure trove of data. Find out when your followers are most active, what formats they like, video.stills.polls,
Right.
what makes them tap and interact. The guide literally asks, are they more into polls or video? Insights helps you stop guessing and start tailoring.
And this isn't just a launch day thing, is it? The source talks about a timeline.
It lays it out as a structured campaign, often over days, maybe even weeks. You've got your pre-launch phase, that's for teasing, sneak peeks, building the initial buzz, then launch day, the big reveal, showing off the benefits, hitting them with that strong call to action. And then post-launch, you keep the energy up with testimonials, maybe more behind-the-scenes tutorials. It's a whole story arc.
Okay, and you don't necessarily have to fly solo. Collaboration gets a mention too.
Definitely. Bringing in influencers or brand ambassadors or even just featuring your own team members that can seriously boost your reach and add that layer of credibility, that social proof. It's about using other voices to amplify the message.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty then. Crafting the actual content. How does the guide suggest making the stories themselves, like, really compelling?
It breaks down the storytelling sequence quite nicely. You start with a teaser, spark curiosity, maybe a blurred shot, use a countdown sticker. Then bam, the reveal. Make it impactful. A cool video, a slick carousel. After they see it, you immediately hit them with the value proposition. Why is this thing special? What problem does it solve for them?
Show them the why they should care.
Exactly. Then you follow up with proof. Think testimonials, customer reviews, maybe reactions from people trying it. Then dial up the urgency limited offers, low stock warnings, countdowns again, nudge them towards taking action now. And finally, make it easy. That swipe up link or the link sticker, taking them straight to the product page or checkout. Smooth transition.
It feels like this whole flow really leans into Instagram's interactive features. What does the guide say about using those effectively?
Oh, they're absolutely central to engagement. Polls and questions stickers, perfect for getting people involved. Ask them to guess a feature, vote on a color preference, submit their questions about the product. Quizzes can be a fun way to educate about features without being boring. And don't forget other stickers, location tags, hashtags, product tags if you've got shopping set up. Even just a simple new sticker can grab attention.
That Rebel example in the source, the beverage company, that really showed the power of polls, didn't it?
Yeah, that's a great little case study. They use poll stickers to let followers vote on a secret new flavor before it launched. Such a simple idea, but it created massive engagement, tons of buzz, loads of interest before the drink was even available. Pure anticipation building.
And beyond the interactive elements, the source gives tips on the visuals themselves, right?
Oh yeah. Big emphasis on brand consistency across your stories, using high-quality visuals and, importantly, making sure they're vertical designed for the story format. It also suggests mixing things up short, snappy clips with maybe slightly longer mini demos or behind-the-scenes footage. Keeps it dynamic. And for people maybe working with fewer resources, it mentions using templates from apps like Canva or Unfold. Helps maintain that polished professional look without needing a design team.
Okay, so you've planned it out, you've made great content. Now, how do you ensure people actually see it? What does the guide recommend for optimizing reach?
Right, this is where stickers and links become super important for getting it out there. If you have Instagram shopping enabled, those product stickers are gold. People can tap and buy right from the story. Placement is key, though make it obvious but not annoying.
And the guide points out that the link sticker being available for everyone now is a huge deal.
Huge. It really levels the playing field for driving traffic off Instagram. The focus then becomes crafting a really compelling call to action on that sticker. It's not enough to just slap a link there. You got to tell people why they should tap. Tap to pre-order, see the full collection here, something enticing.
Countdown stickers, too, they do double duty, right? Build hype and let people set reminders.
Exactly. Helps maximize those views right when it drops. Also, don't forget basic discovery tools using relevant hashtags and location tags can expose your stories to people beyond your current followers. Expands that potential audience.
But stories vanish after 24 hours. How does the guide suggest making the launch impact last longer?
That's where highlights come into play. The source is really strong on this. Save your key launch stories, the reveal, the best testimonials, maybe a quick tutorial into a dedicated highlight on your profile. That way, anyone visiting your profile later, even weeks later, can still watch the launch narrative unfold. It keeps the story alive and accessible.
And I guess for a really critical launch, you could always pour some gas on the fire.
For sure. Paid promotion through Ads Manager is mentioned. It lets you specifically target demographics you think would be interested but aren't following you. Or maybe retarget people who've engaged with you before. Even a small budget can give your main launch stories a significant visibility boost.
The source includes some real-world examples, too, which always helps make it concrete.
Yeah, the case studies are great for seeing it in action. You look at Glossier, they are masters of the cryptic teaser, using polls and questions and stories to build insane levels of hype and speculation. It directly fuels that launch day excitement.
They almost make it like a game, a shared secret.
Totally. Then you have Adidas, often using athlete or designer takeovers, that gives you super authentic content, shows the product in use, adds credibility, and taps into the collaborator's audience too. Win-win.
And it proves it's not just for the giant corporations.
Exactly. The Archer and Olive example, a small stationary business, shows that. They did behind-the-scenes stuff, polled followers on product colors, held Q&As in their stories. All that direct engagement and transparency built a really dedicated community, a waiting list, and led to sold-out launches. So the lesson from the source across all these examples is pretty clear. Strategic teasers, authenticity, interactivity, that's the recipe for launch success, big or small.
Okay, but even with a great guide, there are always pitfalls. The source points out some common mistakes to avoid.
Yeah, these are important warnings. Number one, trying to cram too much into one story slide. Overloading with info or text. People just swipe past. Keep it focused, one clear message per story.
And a big one, I imagine, just forgetting the call to action or making it weak.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't explicitly tell people what to do, shop now, sign up here, learn more, well, most just won't do anything. Every story needs to guide the viewer towards that next step.
Ignoring the analytics, too, that sounds like flying blind.
It really is. If you don't look back at the data, which stories kept people watching? Which link got the most taps? How can you improve? Reviewing those metrics after the launch is essential learning for the next time.
Using generic visuals is another trap mentioned.
Yeah, your exciting new product launch deserves better than generic stock photos, right? Show the actual product, show your team, show real customers if you can. Make it unique, make it visually interesting.
And something easily missed but important, accessibility.
Definitely. Adding captions to videos is huge for people watching with the sound off, which is a lot of users. Using alt text helps screen readers understand the visuals. It just makes your content reachable for more people. The consequence of falling into these traps: you waste your effort, you might turn off potential customers, and you definitely miss sales. The fix, really, is just being mindful and reviewing your work critically.
So, okay, bringing all these threads together, the source actually lays out a kind of adapted step-by-step plan example.
Yeah, it sketches out a possible 4-day sequence, which is a really useful framework.
Yeah.
Day 1, all about building anticipation. Teasers, countdowns, polls get people curious. Day 2, the big reveal. Use that impactful video or carousel, slap on the product sticker, add the key link sticker. Make it happen.
Get it out there, make it easy to buy or learn more right away.
Exactly. Day 3, focus shifts to benefits. Maybe a carousel showing off features, a quick customer testimonial video, perhaps a fun quiz about how to use the product. Day 4, drive that action. Maybe introduce a limited time offer, host a live Q&A to answer last-minute questions, share any cool user-generated content that's come in.
And then, after those main days,
Keep the momentum. Save the core launch sequence to a highlight on your profile. Definitely keep checking your insights. See what worked best. And you can supplement, repost strong user content, share more behind the scenes, maybe staff pics or unboxing videos if you need more content to keep the buzz going.
So bringing this back around to you, the listener, the source really emphasizes that pulling this off, mastering Instagram stories for launches, it's not about needing some massive team.
Not at all. It really boils down to having a clear strategy, being creative in how you tell your story, and having the dedication to actually plan it out and execute it well.
The key steps drawing from this guide seem clear. First, really understand your goals and who you're talking to. Then, plan out that multi-day campaign journey. Build anticipation before the reveal. Make the reveal itself visually compelling. Use all those interactive tools Instagram offers, and always, always ask for the action you want.
And crucially, commit to learning from what happens. Look at the data, analyze those insights, and don't be afraid to try new things, different formats, different collaborations for your next launch. It's an ongoing process.
So the core takeaway we're extracting from this guide feels pretty powerful. Instagram stories, if you use them strategically, creatively, they can absolutely turn that fleeting curiosity into real buzz, actual engagement, and ultimately sales. They really put your product right out front in a super dynamic way.
Yeah, it's about transforming that 24-hour lifespan from a limitation into, well, a genuine launch superpower.
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it, about your own product launches. How can you apply these strategies from the source to craft stories that don't just get seen, but get felt and get acted on?
And maybe here's a thought to chew on. Given that stories do disappear so quickly, how does framing them as this launch superpower fundamentally shift how we think about temporary marketing and its potential for lasting impact?
That's definitely something to ponder as you gear up for your next big reveal. We really hope this deep dive gives you the framework and the spark you need to start creating some truly unforgettable launch stories.